Hey everyone. So I figured it's been a while since I've done an actual video on this channel. It would be helpful if I could get one of those out. And yeah, I had a little bit of a tidy up on the sides, but still not really done much to fix it yet. It's kind of looked like going for the Mick Foley look. That's a old wrestler from back in my time. He's retired now. I was one of those people that would always sacrifice himself in the ring, sacrificing himself for others' entertainment. And this could be in all sorts of different matches, barbed wire matches, crazy hardcore matches, matches where he'd pull out thumbtacks and other things. I don't think that your service to others should include taking damage out on your own body, but I do have the highest amount of respect for those that are willing to sacrifice that much of themselves for other people's entertainment. And I've always been a big fan of that kind of entertainment. For I was raised in the era of Jackass and Dirty Sanchez. These things were very much about sacrificing the self for others' entertainment, and it's very easy to get that thought entwined with the idea that what you're doing is a good thing because it's serving others, but it's putting others above yourself in a way. You're suffering a lot of things that they don't end after the incident. It will stay with you for life. And these are a lot of the things that I think I'm coming to get out of my system now that I've reached a stage of deep cleansing and fasting. I've seen people recently talking about fasting not being that advised for you because it is an extreme measure. It's something that our bodies were designed to eat. The only times in nature that you see us fasting is when we're ill. What I find is that it's very good for clearing out your body if you've got something that is inside that doesn't need to be, which generally all of us do. The world of processed food, there's a lot of things that they're just not great for you. I've come off of the fast. The fast finished on the 20th of April. We're on about the 29th now. There's been a good 9 days of being back into eating solid foods, salty foods, and oh my god, is it difficult to stay awake after eating. It's surprising how much energy is used to consume food. But that was one of the first things that I'd noticed. I've also started smoking again because I'd been 45 days without cannabis. I actually felt better before I started smoking again, to be honest. It's something that you get as like a multiplier effect when you've been on a streak of not having something for a long period of time. Yeah, it feels good when you have it again, but it brings you down. I was up here and I didn't realize how much I was up here until I started smoking and brought myself down to this level. Now, I haven't brought myself down to any lower levels. It's not like it used to be. I used to always feel like I was in the lower zones down here, and then I smoke and I would feel high temporarily until I'd fall back into the lower zones. Whereas I've been feeling up here recently, having a smoke brought me down here, and then I slowly feel myself rising again. So I know that I've not really steered too far off of the path when it comes to food. I've had things like tofu, mainly, like crispy fried tofu has been about as unhealthy as it's got. I bought a few foods today to see if it has any effect on my mood, see if it affects my thoughts, gives me any brain fog. I had a Mexican wrap thing from Sainsbury's and some falafel, which is processed food. It was, I read the ingredients, it wasn't the best, but figured it would be a good experiment, and it hasn't seemed to have any effect on me yet. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what food actually causes me to drop, what would cause me to feel that back into the lower vibrations. Today is a bit of a physical day. It's Tuesday again, Mardi. It's a day of conflict, and I had to wake up early this morning because I had a test. It was a CSCS card test, which had been given before, and I had scored 95%. Was not told that there was a second part to the test, so I was waiting for the card to come through. After a while, I got in touch, found out that there is no card coming through until I've finished this test and they can send off for it. So Went in there today, managed to get 94%. I was quite happy with that, as I only did 1 day of revision, which was yesterday, as wasn't really as prepared with the information as I should have been. But I was quite happy with the ideas. It's a subject that I feel quite deeply about anyway. It's to do with health and safety in the workplace. A lot of the things were common knowledge. And when I was in the lessons about 4 weeks ago, when I had done the first test, I did my best to absorb as much information as I could. The thing that upset me about both tests is that they won't tell you what answers you got wrong. So they're telling you basically that there's things out there that you don't know about that are quite vital to health and safety, but we're not going to let you know what they are. Best of luck out there, mate. You passed. And I just think that's a bit backwards. It would be much better if they just let us know, these are the questions you failed on, these are the areas you need to look at. So they don't do that, which I find is very much a representation of the world as is. It's all health and safety seems to be for show only. A lot of the companies that I've worked at, they had things that were there basically just to be able to tell health and safety that they existed on the premises. So yeah, the that's like the physical layer of what's been going on in my life. Feeling a lot of aches and pains in my body again. I didn't realize how good I had it. But having salty food again, I can feel exactly the parts of my body that start drying up. I can feel the different areas in my digestive system that get affected by having dry, salty food go through them. And that's been a lot to get used to in the past week. In terms of noticing different connectivity in the world, still been seeing a lot of numbers recurring, a lot of things that kind of give indications that things are going in the right direction. I was even talking to my friend about a list of different things that had happened to do with really random occurrences, really random coinkydinks. That there are no coinkydinks. These things that just align perfectly. Like when I was getting a lift with my friend from where my mum lives to where my partner lives, as he still travels back and forward from London to Kent for work. And we were talking about YouTube, actually. Is he knows from when I started, I was talking a lot about recurring numbers, and he was saying about, look, man, you need to focus on just one thing that you talk about that other people are interested in, rather than coming up with different thing every day and like, oh, here's the license plates talking to me. And I was laughing about it because it's like, yeah, he's poking fun at me in a way. He doesn't mean it in a making fun of what I do, but I know that at the same point, it sounds a bit crazy when you talk to people about seeing recurring numbers everywhere. Doesn't feel like it means much. And then I saw the number 777 and the number 888 on license plates while we were in that conversation, so I couldn't help but point those out as it was happening. And then as we started following a car, the license plate on it said Daz, which is my nickname on the end, short for Daryl. I had a lot. We were following it for a good 4 or 5 minutes, and then I decided, like, you know what? We're behind it. I've got to take a picture of it. So I've taken a picture. I'll feature it in this video. This is the picture here. So you can see the Daz in the license plate. When I pulled out my phone to take the photo, it was exactly 5:55 a.m. and the van actually says just-in-time solutions. So it was like, that was quite an incredible one. That happened in the middle of the fast, but I was telling my friend about this. As I did, I was at a station, and a guy sitting next to me dropped the earpod out of his ear. Case rolled over and hit my foot. So I was in the middle of typing this message to my friend where we're talking about random links. He told me about a couple that had happened to him. And I was halfway through typing that message about the just-in-time solutions and ended up with the guy who'd bumped my leg with his case of his earpod. I'd picked up the case and gave it to him. He laughed and he said, like, oh, no, it's okay. I got the other thing. Lucky it didn't roll under any further. I'd been lost then. And I was like, oh, I know what you mean. I'm always losing mine. reached into my pocket and pulled out a loose AirPod or earpod. And I was like, this is why. It's like, there should be ones that have an alarm sound on it or something when you leave it out of the case too long. He goes, oh, actually, my ones do that. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, these are like very advanced. They cost something like £240 to buy them, but they're very advanced ones. He said that he actually has trouble hearing because he suffers from tinnitus. I thought, well, that's a coincidence right there. I suffer from tinnitus. Like, so what does it do? And he says, starts showing me the settings. He was able to do things with the, when you put it in, it gives you a hearing test, and it manages to shield any outside noises and enhance certain noises for you, so it acts as a hearing aid. I was like, and that works for tinnitus? He says, yeah, honestly, I can hear clearly, like through the ear that you had the thing in. Said I can hear clearly out of this one. I can notice the sound in the other one. It's like, that's incredible. So I finished, like, we finished talking, said goodbye, like, wished each other a pleasant journey. Then I started texting my friend, and I said about, like, finished the text that I was sending him, and I said, oh, this isn't really another link or coinkydink, but it's just quite interesting that this guy happened to bump into me at this exact time, dropping the earpods, and then he's ended up showing me this product that would actually help my ears, because I suffer from the same thing. And he just sent back a laughing face. It was just like I was literally just talking to my mum about getting some kind of hearing aid to sort out my tinnitus, because it's been getting really bad. I was like, you honestly couldn't write this stuff. And it comes through that perfectly. This was about 4 or 5 days ago, maybe. So yeah, I've been definitely still noticing all of the connections in the, what would you call, the spiritual realm. It's just a spiritual realm for me, is that's what it means. You're finding the connections in the air. Like when you've got air in the element, it's about communication. The air will always be trying to communicate things with you. And when you manage to pick up these different things, you've got the ears to hear. It's about having the eyes to see and the ears to hear. The eyes to see is referring to the third eye, because you always need a third perspective. You get one and then you get the dual perspective, but you need the third one to get that extra bit. Like I've said before, you get I could probably even manage to do this. Actually, rather not disturb the earth too much, but if I was to draw a 6 on the floor, you stand on one side of it, it will look like a 9. Stand on the other side of it, it will look like a 6. You get a third perspective, you can see that it's neither 6 or 9. It's actually just a funky little shape. It's a little fish, or it's a little yin-yang half. It's just a shape. And once you get that third perspective, everything else falls into place. You got the third perspective, you know that the fourth perspective is going to be pretty much the same, but the opposite. And when you got the 4, you can work from there, because the 4 is foundation. Like you have the sun, which represents the self, the soul. When you're by yourself, that's solitary, that's solitude. You get solace, which is that warmth. You get the comfort. The sun has 4 seasons. They're the 4 different elements of the sun, if you will. They're the 4 fixed signs. So you've got the Taurus, which is the earth sign. You've got the Leo, which is the fire sign. You've got the Scorpio, which is the water sign, and Aquarius, which is the air sign. Aquarius, it represents the water bearer, but it's an air sign because it's about the communication. We represent the water bearer. This is often Aquarius represented by a man or an angel. The idea is that we're able to feel and receive all of the messages because we've come back to sensitivity. A lot of that is the hydration. When you go on an extended juice fast, water fast, actually, if you just go on an extended period of eating nothing but fruit, nothing but juicy fruit, you feel so hydrated on the inside that all of the water inside of you is able to receive a lot more information from the outside, a bit like it's an electric knowledge going around us in the field. And the knowledge kind of has resistance as it comes through, but it's about how well your body can conduct what's being received. The formation of this knowledge is the information inside of your head. You have the 4 different seasons of the sun, and as above, so below, as within, so without. That means that there's 4 different sides to ourselves. I mean, the spiritual being one of them, which I see is the air. Spirit means breath in Latin. You've got the body, which is the earth. That's to do with the physical self. That'd be to do with the ego self, because the ego, it's not something you have when you're a child. It's something that develops. It develops as the energy inside of you starts to go on its own. Like in the beginning, they separate the waters from the waters. So you get the solid, liquid, and gas. Well, one type of altered water would be going towards gas, one type of altered water would be going towards the solid. So we are water bearers that are solid, that take in breath. So there's the other element. When you get into fire and temperature, your body needs a certain level of warmth to survive. But what we're looking at here is the split between spirit and physical. So the earth sign being the physical, the spirit being the communication in the air, the water is the mood and the emotions. The emotions, all of the E is all of the energy that is coming throughout your body, what you're receiving from your 5 senses. Then the 5th letter is E. To do with 5, everything 5 with senses, you've got 5 senses. Each of the 5 senses are 5-letter words: the sound, sight, uh, taste, touch, and smell. You've got the word sense has 5 letters. I've mentioned this in tons of videos. It's to do with experience. There are 5 elements as well. If you were to look at ether being one of the elements, as you've got 4 elements that are used for structural purposes. The E would be accumulation of all of them. So the E being linked to the emotions that are a result of all of the physiology of your body. So all of the pulse, the heartbeat, the blinking, the dryness of your throat, the inner workings of the body, all of these motions, they create energy, and that energy gives you the emotions that you're capable of feeling. This is using the right side of your brain, the feminine side of the brain. This is being able to use your feelings as well as your thoughts, because they are 2 separate things. So the thoughts would deal with things on the spiritual, they deal with the communication, and that's tuning into that side. The emotions would be more the inner self, the motion in the ocean, the waters. The ego itself is the go of the energy, the E. This is something that starts as it's been separated from the waters. It's We are damned when we come into this place. We've been separated from the waters of truth, meaning that we don't have access to the waters that contain all of the memory, that contain all of the knowledge that we would need to be able to form an exact reflection of what it is on the other layers. It's kind of like we're coming in blind. They mention it in lots of different scriptures about having a veil. In uh, I think it's the Mormon book, the Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints talks about having the veil of forgetfulness. There's the Quran mentions about a veil that Allah puts over us that stops us from being able to see and have access to basically all of the knowledge that we have to keep away from us when we're being tested. Like earlier, I was doing a test today. It was a bit excessive, I have to admit. I wasn't allowed to wear this because they thought that I might have some answers written inside of there or something. I had to take all of the possessions out of my pocket and lock them away in storage before I was allowed to take the test, which is a bit like what we have with this world. We come in with nothing, we leave with nothing. We're here for a test. The Bible is quite literally a test of mind. The Old Testament and the New Testament are both test and meant meaning mind. So these are things that will give us our test of whether or not we've passed life, or whether or not we get held back another year or get expelled from the course altogether. So I can't give anyone any kind of uh, advice on how to live their lives, because every one of our lives is different. But I do believe that that is the cycle of life. We will come back into the world of physical, we'll go back into the world of the higher realms. So I've got four there that I've mentioned. There was three, I think, that I've mentioned in detail. So you've got the physical body, which is the earth. You've got the emotions that you feel, which are the water body. So that's the water element. You've got the thinking, the thoughts, which are the air, the words that you use. You use air to make the sounds, to pass on the information. That would be the air sign. Then, above all, you've got the fire sign, which would be the soul, representing the soul, the self, the sun. This is what gives the life to everything else. So it gives the conditioning to the fire, earth, and the earth, the water, and the air to begin with. The air is good fuel for the fire as well. It's like, in a way, it breathes the oxygen in the same way as we do. Fire is like a type of life. And I think that using just these four, you can see that we've got uh, four faces to the soul. So the soul has its fiery face, which is the soul that goes round and does each individual journey. It's like the Fool card when I showed in Links and Dinks of the Tarot, has the sun in the corner that travels with the Fool. It's something that is a representative that we always have our soul with us. It's like you are not just one thing, you are more than that one thing. You're not just your body, you're not just your thoughts, you're not just your soul, you're not just your emotions, you're a combination of many layers. I don't think that it ends at just four layers, but this is an easy way to understand four different faces of the soul in the same pattern as there's four different uh, seasons of the sun. So the sun can also then be broken down. You've got 12 different states of being. So you could break down the human body into 12 different states of being again. You can find easier ways to associate the behavior of the different energies based on the behavior of the different organs in your body, or the different parts of your body, the different limbs. And these things, they're all reflective, because the idea is that we're able to get to a stage where we're able to see these things for ourselves. You can't rely on someone else telling you what to do all the time. Like people that go to church and think that Jesus will save them because they put money in the collection plate and it was a considerable sum of money. It's more than the 10% tithing that was asked of me. And it's like, you haven't read the book. The book isn't telling you to pay money to a church that may or may not be doing questionable things with children, or giving the money to people like the Pope, who probably shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but if the stories are true, then was nothing but someone that covers for paedophiles. So this is the state of the world that we're in. I do recognize that everything on the world stage is a show. We are watching a show taking place. There is a chance that a lot of these characters, the people out there that we hear about that are abusing children and things like this, that it's just figments of the story. I've met enough people in life that have convinced me of otherwise, that people do go through some horrible things in life. I've gone through some myself, not as bad as other people, but that's a story for different time. There's definite things in this world that are not right, but it's all down to your own personal experience in the world. This world is ruled by Saturn. That's the god of karma. You get out what you put in, and that's whether you're like mentioned wrestling at the beginning of this. That's pretty much an exact replica. Saturn is all about the squares and all about the cubes, and they call the squared circle the wrestling ring. So you have ring around Saturn. Whatever you sacrifice within the ring will get you the popularity outside of the ring. Like some of the most loved wrestlers, like Cactus Jack, who I mentioned, I swear he only won like 2 matches in his entire career. But me and many millions of other fans would have just been watching for him specifically. We wanted to see him wrestling, didn't care about a Triple H, didn't care about a Rock, didn't care about a Stone Cold, wanted to see Mick Foley in the ring. And I think that that's what you get for being generally a nice guy, as he definitely appeared to be, but also very self-sacrificing. There's a balance to it, though. You see a lot of these people, they tell you not to try these things at home, and they're 40 years old, looking about 80, hobbling along, unable to walk properly. They've sacrificed a lot to be able to provide entertainment for people, and they got their rewards from it. It was a lot of physical rewards. They've had to suffer physical punishment for it. With our journey back to where we started, where we came from, I think that it comes from being able to sacrifice the world rather than yourself for the world. It's sacrificing the world for yourself. Sacrifice all of those connections between yourself and drugs or certain foods or certain activities, certain things that will keep you bound to this world. If you keep on, he's so good. If you keep on doing things that are binding you to this place, then that is where you'll be going round in circles in Saturn's world, as Saturn has the ring. And as much as you'll be going round in circles, you won't even be free to explore the circle at your own leisure. You'll be guided in a very straight and abrupt turning square, as it will be a squared circle, one that has rules implemented onto it. You've got set, which is another word for Saturn, which you get a set square. And this is very much what happens when your path is set for you. Once we get to a certain level of not being so focused on what happens in the squared circle, we start moving away from that for entertainment. We start to move away from ties to things that are physical, things that are like processed food. That's another squared circle right there. So you got like beautiful fruits that come from nature, been sprayed with pesticides, murderous killing chemicals. It's just like squaring of a circle. You get. But yeah, how is any of this practical? How is any of this applicable to your own life? Well, first of all, you got to really work out whether you're on the way up or on the way down, where it is that you want to go. Because the ultimate cycle that life appears to work in is that we have a conscious experience where we come to the physical, and then we make our way back up to the beyond the spiritual. So there's ways of existing that extend beyond the reality of which we know in the physical world. But there's only so much that you could do if you're reunited with the waters of truth, if you're reunited with everyone and everything else that's ever existed. Realize that everything in the physical realm is a reflection of it. It's like you're coming out of a computer game, or you're coming out of a simulation, that then you have a bit of time to adjust to heaven and or nirvana or whatever state you would be in as a default setting, and then decide to come back into another physical realm, into another physical setting. And it does feel like there is that constant cycle. How long would you be able to spend in heaven before you'd get sick of absolutely everything going your way all the time? You just decide that, you try and play some basketball. Every time you throw the ball, it goes through the hoop. You're like, I'm not even aiming anymore, just catching trick shots by accident. You do any task that you take on in crafting, you'd manage to perfect the craft even working with the materials to deep levels. After you've gone and done all of these things with the information that you would have then access to, you'd eventually get to a stage where you want it to be more of a challenge. So you'd want to remove your memory again and throw yourself headfirst back into the land of duality, in the world where everything is working both with and against you. It's that paradox that you can only get in the physical world of duality. And as we're constantly going through these cycles, there's no right or wrong answer to what you should be doing. You are the only person that can answer that. Like, I heavily disagree with a lot of actions in this world. I'm a very much hate the sin, love the sinner kind of person, but I do really hate the sins. But I know that it's not up to me. It's up to me whether or not to sin in my life. It's not up to you what I should be doing any more than it's up to me what you should be doing. There's a certain level of judgment. It's like, treat others how you'd expect to be treated, but don't treat them how you would allow yourself to treat yourself. Say, if you're a bit hard on yourself, being hard on other people isn't going to get you very far. It might be seen as coming from a place of love, but a lot of the time it's seen as an attack on the person. A lot of people, they don't know the direction in life, and they're following what feels natural to them. It felt natural for me to take on this path and try and feel a closer connection to truth, and to go further into applying the knowledge that I was hearing from the different podcasts I was listening to, the different people that were sharing their journeys. And that was a decision that I have zero regrets. I'm really happy, even with whatever it's cost me along the way. I've managed to get very comfortable in my own skin. I don't need to drink or take drugs to get away from my own thoughts anymore. I feel like I'm a lot better off now than I ever have been. But I don't feel like this is the answer for everyone. I think that it matters where you're going, what you're doing. There's some people that they won't be able to grasp the balance of life unless they suffer the consequences of their actions. Like, we all have different learning methods, and none of them are wrong. We're all learning at our own speed. Like, it's not up to us to go around educating other people. And Jesus even says that we should remove the splinters from our own eyes before we remove the logs from everyone else's. And that's why I don't see myself as any kind of teacher here. I don't see myself as someone that's here to try and help people learn more about themselves or anything. I do this because it feels right. I started doing everything on my journey because it felt right. I started sharing my journey because it felt like the right thing to do. It felt like the way, because the information is then going to be just laid out there. It's up to people whether or not to take it on board and do anything about it, same as it was for me. It's only those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear that are going to be able to make the jump, that make the leap of faith and actually do the things that will let them know inside one way or another if it's the right way for them to go. Like, some people, they won't be able to absorb a lesson fully in this life unless it is something that directly affects them on a physical level, and they've got their own speed to work at. There's no amount of telling them about fruit or fasting or positive thoughts or any grounding or any amount of things that are good for your body on various levels. It's about them being able to discover, to begin with, whether or not they even care, whether or not they care to think about things like that, because they might be on a different path entirely that leads them to a realization point that happens in a very different way. So then gives them their own unique angle and approach for life that can really help with other people hearing their story through their experience. Like, I don't feel like it's my duty to come on here and do anything. It's more, if I constantly share my journey, there is a chance that that will be a glimmer of hope for some people that have no hope in this world. So it's very easy to lose hope in this world. It's a very beautiful earth. It's a very messed up world. Two totally different things. The world is man-made. The earth, our mother earth, our mother nature. It's like the male is involved in the structural creation, something functional, but it needs that womanly touch to give it the beauty. That womanly touch is coming back to your senses, returning to being aligned with the number 5. I find that that definitely helps. Things that I did fasting over Ramadan definitely felt like I was getting a lot closer. Just daily abstinence from food and water made it a lot easier to let go of the physical attachments. I was able to uh, stick to just fruit in the iftar times because I was fasting for Lent, going through that period of just having nothing but fruit for 46 days or 45 days as it was in the end. And that was really good for being able to hydrate my body and come back to my senses. And I noticed that the number 5 was turning up everywhere. You got the 5 senses, you got the 5 pillars of Islam, one to pray 5 times a day. Not saying Islam is the way, you can find your way no matter which path you choose. I'm a supporter of every religion. I think that all of them contain the information within. If I find myself in a situation that calls for it, it's very hard to suddenly decide to not enjoy anything about the world and what's in it. Earth and world are both 5-letter words. You've got to take the bad with the good. And that helps the experience in this place. It's the place that we come to for pleasure and pain. That was the apple from the forbidden fruit. The forbidden fruit that comes from a tree. And the tree is in a torus shape. The apple is in a torus shape. The torus is a tour of us. It's the field that we're inside. It's the field of duality. Taurus is the second sign. All of these are just reflections of who we were before we came here and what we should do in order to go back. A lot of the scriptures are testing you, because if all you're able to see is the physical, you've missed the point of the scriptures. There's so much in there that alludes you to thinking outside of the box. The box is the physical realm of Saturn. It's like you think from outside the box and your thoughts can be fluid. They can fill any shape. The possibilities are endless. You can change the state of the thoughts. There's so many things that I experienced even when I was taking powerful hallucinogenics that I think is all things that are possible in the mind without the drugs. The drugs are the cheat code, but removing the idea of sticking to a physical cheat code that you would need, everything that you can experience from those trips is perfectly possible to experience if you just let go of the physical realm. And that's the journey I'm heading towards. That's something that I don't know 100%, but I can feel it. And that is something that I'll stand by. It's something I live my life by. I'm still on the cleaning my temple side of things. Then I'm going to get a little bit heavier into deep breathing and finding the right poses to be able to sit in stillness and silence and completely exist as one with everything I can feel around me. Once I've managed to achieve that, hopefully I'll be able to come back and tell the tale, share the journey, let you know how it goes. It'd be very nice to be able to speak with positive confirmation that everything on this journey is 100%. But then if I did that, would it still be a leap of faith? Well, yeah, because I'm a guy on the internet. I could be making everything up. I mean, I'm not, but there is no possible way of confirming any of that with any of you. Everything's based on faith, isn't it? That's why I like doing things for myself. Find out if there's any truth in it by whether or not it works. and what works for me might not work for you. So happy searching. I'm gonna end this video here. I head back and get it edited, but see if my mum fancies a little walk first, because this is some beautiful weather. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more.